Video highlights from the February 5th Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association meeting that was held at the Roosevelt Community Center. Sincere thanks to all the featured speakers and everyone who attended, in person and remotely. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. To the, what is this, February meeting of the Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association. I think our agenda today is to start off with Captain Scherry, who is a new captain here. We'll introduce yourself, etc. And then we'll move on to D3 and community center updates. I'd like to say our agenda looks pretty short, so it'll probably be a short meeting. But the last time we had a short agenda and I said we'd have a short meeting, it ran over time. So we'll see what happens today. There are a bunch of flyers on the table over here with, I guess, CERT and related things. And we'll have some other flyers as we go. Update from Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it at the end or at the beginning?
No, just to talk about it. I'm going to be making this a regular thing where we'll have a table of emergency preparedness stuff. Tonight I got some samples from the California Office of Emergency Services. You're free to got emergency lights and some power banks and stuff, but most important is the literature. So please help yourself.
Are the hubs blurb there this week?
No, it's
nope.
Not there. This is
okay.
Just OES, but
okay.
I'll regularly be
different things, different times. Yeah. Okay. I guess with that, Captain Scherry, the floor is yours. We pretty much have an hour and a half minus, so probably no more than an hour.
Promise I won't take over.
Great.
Probably be a lot quicker.
That's fine too.
Well, good evening. My name is, as you indicated, is Scherry. I'm the new captain with Central Division. Our previous captain, Mary, he's now the department's assistant chief of police. So the good news is I've worked in Central Division before as a lieutenant several years ago, and then I moved on to do other things. And I just got moved from Bureau of Investigations back down to Central Division. So I'm super excited. This is where the fun's at, and I'm super happy to be here. So just a few things I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about a few of the events that are going on within the city. I know everybody's wondering what's going on with Super Bowl. Well, there's a lot of stuff happening. I pulled the, quick at a glance crime stats for the last couple months and made a comparison between December and January. And there's actually about a 16% drop in some of the main categories overall. So things are looking pretty good in your neighborhood. One of the things that stood out primarily is vandalism actually dropped quite a bit, even though there's some tagging that was seen in your neighborhood. So it's possible some of those aren't getting reported. So what we'd like to say is, if you see something, say something, please take the time to report it, even if you don't think anything's being done with it, because it tells us what the real condition of the neighborhood is. But overall, things are looking good. I will say with Super Bowl here, there's a lot of activity going on downtown. We've put a lot of resources downtown for this entire week. And in fact, we've been putting a lot of resources in the downtown corridor probably for several weeks leading up to this event. So if you go downtown, you're going to probably see a lot of cops because most of our special operations is downtown right now. As you know, Seattle is staying at one of our hotels downtown, so there's a lot of presence there. And there's a lot of quite a few block parties popping up. Tomorrow there's going to be a big one in front of City Hall. That's why City Hall's all blocked off from 8th Street all the way down to 4th Street. And there's going to be about, I think 10,000 plus tickets were sold. So it's going to be full. There's going to be a lot of people down there. And don't worry, we got lots of cops working that event. The following day, the same location, there's 12,000 plus tickets sold for a different event. So that's going to be pretty busy. There's a drone show, I believe, tomorrow evening as well in downtown San Jose. And there's block parties in San Pedro Square and St. John. So there's a lot happening. All this stuff is available online. You can look it up online to see what's up there. I think there's some flyers here that talk about it too. So a lot of exciting things. And as everybody know, the game day's on Sunday, and there's block parties downtown, especially in San Pedro Square, that's going to show that as well. And I think I believe they're going to put the game up on the big screen down there. So it should be a friendly place and safe place to go to, because there's going to be a lot of cops down there all the way through until the team leaves, which is probably going to be sometime on Monday. And then that leads us into keeping the neighborhood clean and safe. So we're still going to establish a pretty strong presence in the area, because after that we have NVIDIA coming down in March. We had March Madness, and then, as you guys know, the month of June is most of FIFA. And all those teams in FIFA, they're going to actually be staying in hotels in downtown San Jose. So it's going to be a pretty busy time, all the way up at least until June. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight, and just kind of give you a sneak peek, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about, we've been looking at redistricting the entire city, and just to kind of give you a little background on that. 25 years ago or so, we had 12 districts. We went up to 16 districts. They redistrict the entire city based on call volume and the amount of officers we had at the time. And as most citizens of the city know, we are super, super understaffed as a department. Nevertheless, our officers still go out there doing an incredible job, but we were always asking them to do more with less. Nevertheless, they take it upon themselves to do a great job to try to keep our neighborhoods safe. But, you know, back in those days, we had 1,500 cops, right? Now we're down to about 1,000 or just under 1,000. So we have a lot less cops and more workload, right? And what's changed in the last 24 years is the districts that are there now, the call volume in each district is different, yet we have the same amount of officers. So when they were first designed that way, we had 6 to 8 officers per district. Now we're going out 4 or 5 officers per district because we're very, very short. And that call volume in some of these districts went up. And it's not even across the board. All right. So one district may have, you know, 1,000 calls, for example, in 1 week. The other district may have 500. So those 4 or 5 officers in some districts are working harder than others. Right. So the idea behind it is to kind of redraw the borders, the perimeters of these districts in order to kind of even out the call volume within each district. Right. So it's a little bit more even, and the officers can respond quicker to these calls. The other thing we're doing is we're getting rid of beats. And if you understand what beats are, when you have a district, you have beats within that district. For example, the downtown core is District Edward. Where you guys live, this is District King. Okay. District King, for example, has King 1, King 2, King 3, King 4, and King 5. So it has 5 beats, for example. When officers bid for a position to work in your district, they bid for the district and then they sub-bid for a beat. Okay. And so they're responsible. King 1 is responsible for everything that happens in King 1. Now, a priority call comes out, we're going to send them to handle other things, but the primary officer responsible for that investigation is the officer assigned to that particular beat, right? So if you get a non-priority call, such as maybe someone broke into someone's business, but they're not inside, it's not a high priority right now, we just need to go investigate it, take a report. It falls on a lower level priority of response, they might wait for that officer that's assigned to that beat to respond to that, to take it. And it may take a little more time because they're tied up on something else. So it lowers that response time. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of the beats altogether, which means we're going to assign the office to a district. And all those officers assigned to that district are now responsible for all the calls within that district. Does that make sense? Okay, so what that's going to do is now we're not waiting for so-and-so, King 1, for example, to be free so we can send them to his non-priority call in King 1. We're going to send the next available unit. Now, obviously, the response for high priority calls, we're going to get officers there right away, no matter where they're at, whether it's this district or Edward or a nearby district, right? Because we have priority dispatching. So if it's a critical call, we're going to send the officer. It doesn't matter who they're assigned to, where they're assigned. We're going to send the closest officer that's free to that event to respond, right? That's going to continue. But what that does is, so we're going back down from 16 districts to 12. Okay. The border lines in the districts will change a little bit. Okay. And we're getting rid of 4 districts, which means we're getting rid of District Edward, which is really a small portion of downtown, and District King's going to eat up Edward. But the border lines in King changed a little bit too, right? I don't think it's going to affect you guys. I took a look at the map before I came here. I don't think it's going to affect you guys very much at all. This should still remain King, should still remain part of Central Division. But what that allows us to do is it allows us to add 2 or 3 more officers per district. So instead of going out with 4, now we're going to go out with 6 or maybe 7, right? So that makes a whole lot more sense. So we even the call volume within districts, we're adding more officers, and we're the overall goal is obviously to improve response times so the police can get out there and support the community a little bit better. So that's coming. That'll take effect in November. There's a lot of stuff we have to do in the background, but that'll take effect in November. That's just a sneak peek. A lot of the stuff's going to come out in the media soon. So if you have any questions, you understand the background of it a little bit. On the next meeting, if there's specific questions, I can put on a little PowerPoint presentation if you want to kind of show you where those border lines are at and things like that. And that's really all I have in a nutshell. Super happy to be back with you guys.
I got a question. If you could just briefly talk about, in line with the event that happened where Sergeant Silva was shot and the number of officers now in a case, so that's obviously the highest priority event going on in the city. How many officers were actually involved in that? Maybe you could just speak to how it unfolded and how SJPD was involved and how the other agencies were involved. And
yeah, there were, I don't have the exact number of how many officers were involved, but let's just say a lot of officers were involved. So, and the thing about that call is we were actually watching this call in a real-time intelligence center. So a lot of the command officers were actually up there because we had a meeting just prior, and then this started to go down. So it just worked out while we were in there watching the whole thing unfold, which allowed us to get more officers to the scene quicker, right? To respond a lot quicker. So this subject, he was involved in some prior armed robberies incidents that was several days prior leading up to the day of, and he had carjacked a particular vehicle. That vehicle, he abandoned it. We found it abandoned. And then he goes to a dealership here in San Jose, carjacks another vehicle, a brand new vehicle, and then goes on a joyride down south. At this point, our helicopter had bird's eye view of it, so we were able to advise other outside agencies about it. He gets all the way down to Hollister, and he gets into a shootout with Hollister Police Department and the sheriff's office down there on two separate occasions. He carjacked another citizen's vehicle down there and heads all the way back up to San Jose, right? And we have officers in pursuit the whole time, right? And the helicopter on top. And this is where he landed in San Jose. In San Jose, he gets into a shootout with all officers, and thankfully everybody's fine. One of our officers did get hit, but he's out of the hospital. He's doing better, much better than that day, obviously, of course. But it's a tragic incident, but we're glad we were able to stop him from continuing on his road rage of issues. He had someone else involved in his armed robbery incidents, and that night we went to the outside locations because he lived in Los Baños and some other outside areas. We actually sent officers out there and picked him up that very same night as well. So he was in custody by the morning. But it was a lot of officers because in a situation like that, it's priority dispatch. So we get as many officers over there to deal with it as we can. So
you had the area cordoned off and closed through the next day.
Yes.
Like 24 hours or more.
Yeah. So anytime there's an officer involved incident, you have to do a thorough investigation. You have a lot of different entities doing the investigation and make sure that everything's done correctly. So it takes time.
That no citizen, nobody else was hurt other than Sergeant Silva.
It's amazing.
Because that's like a shootout in a movie, in a congested area. It's just, ugh.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that worked out.
Oh, we all are.
Crossfire and everything else involved. Like you didn't hit one of your own.
Yeah.
There were reports of someone running around setting vehicles on fire. Right?
Yeah,
There was arrest.
there was an arrest. Wasn't
There was an arrest.
There was an arrest. I don't know if that.
I can speak with that. Yeah. So we had a character, and his issue started back September or October-ish, right? And there were several days that he did this, and every time he did it 7-8 cars at a time. And he was an unhoused man that was doing it. He'd find a neighborhood and he'd start lighting these cars on fire and he'd disappear, right? We didn't have a lot of good camera footage. Anytime that's an arson involved, it goes to the arson investigators, right?
Is that MPD or fire?
That's fire. That's fire. So they take the lead on the investigation. But in this case, we stepped in to help him as much as we could and provided additional resources to be able to identify them, because he starts in the Willow Glen area, a couple weeks later, he goes to the part of Western Division over by Azareas, and he kind of led into downtown a little bit. Then he started going further south, sort of kind of following 87 corridor. And so, yeah, so we've identified him, we've arrested him. He's being charged with more than 10 felony counts.
That's not a site release.
No, he's not. He's
Facetious.
yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's probably going to be locked up for a while.
Question, so he has been tied to the earlier fires because the initial arrest said just the latest 10 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah,
They're still working on.
they are. I think right now he's been tied to 23. But they're working on building that process. So it's sometimes that takes a little bit more investigative work at the end of the day, but he's good for all of them.
Oh, okay.
Person's a touchy subject.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I was curious about the opposite end of the spectrum, as far as severity of things. Any word on when we might get to enforcing things like parking regulations again? There are tons of people who park on the corners, in the red zones, in the no stopping zone outside Jeff's house. Guaranteed to happen every Wednesday night when everyone's got their trash bins out for pickup Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes I park half a mile away just because that's the only legal parking. It's kind of frustrating.
I totally understand. And I would recommend anytime you see issues like that, report it on the 301 app. The parking compliance is really a Department of Transportation issue, and they have their own parking control folks. They should be sending around to be dealing with that.
They claim, I have a quote from the director. They go down every street every 10 to 14 days. They're looking at through every street in San Jose. So there should be no problems.
But if they're doing it during the day, it's kind of irrelevant because it's always at night.
Oh, by the way, you can't call for on-demand support.
I even called one.
Unless
for someone
he's
who
blocking
parks
your
next to a
driveway.
hydrant, and
Oh, they don't care.
they wouldn't even take that report.
They won't.
Yeah,
But the fire truck will get that car out of there real quick if it needs to.
Oh yeah, they will.
They will.
Hopefully they'll just break the windows and destroy the car.
No, they'll just literally crash it out of the way.
They do have 3 shifts, so, but 10 to 14 days, their rotation there doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll be there day and night within the 10 and 14 days. It just means they hit that area once at one of those 3 times.
Well, they're great at enforcing the no parking for street sweeping.
Not for RVs and trailers, as you will see on North 11th. If you send somebody out there.
The 1000 block of North
The
11th.
final
Yeah,
block, it's a dead end.
I got notice of that today, so
I've
we're gonna
noticed
look into
one
that.
of my emails.
Oh, okay, good. I did get that. So we're gonna look
Maybe
into that.
someday, parking compliance officers, office can go back under the PD because it used to be under the police department.
Yeah, that was a
Tony Mata
long-
wanted it.
That might have been a long time before
Well,
my
it was
time, but
around.
yeah.
Tony Mata told me, hey, we'll take it back. I said, you should he says, we'll take it back. Just give us the money.
Yeah.
And then he left.
Since we're talking about parking and stuff, I'm just oddly curious to the collective knowledge here. There's a motorcycle which is parked on the street across from me, and I realized I think it parked there like 9 months ago. Someone put a cover over. I actually saw them putting the cover over it. I don't think it's been moved since. Not really causing any problems. I'm not strongly objecting. It's just like, is that kosher?
No, the part, it's a California Vehicle Code section that says you can't park for over 72 hours. You have to move every 10th of a mile, which they can't enforce anymore with digital odometers, but you're supposed to move every 72 hours. 72 hours. That's the law. You know?
Okay.
Enforcing it is challenging.
Yeah, sure, sure.
They chalk the tires,
Mm.
and then the owner moves it 2 feet.
Yeah.
Pushes it 2 feet, because my son's got 4 cars outside his house. None of them are his. They're not operable. The parts are sitting in the back of the pickup. They don't have many of the other parts that they need. And they get chalked and within 2 feet.
Mhm.
Good.
Okay.
Or at least DOT's good.
Yeah.
with that.
When parking compliance, when they went away, when they abandoned on demand, because they used to be great. And I would call in regularly because we got a big strip of no parking on the side of my house. And the reason it was, I would be vigilant about that is years prior, because parking is at such a premium, the bad guys, whether it's late at night, they park their car, they case the house, or one time, about 20 years ago, there was a big red 40 Econoline van that would park out there in the no park. Open drug dealing, like a Frosty truck, selling Frosties. And so parking compliance, they used to by enforcing it, everybody knew it. You're going to get a ticket. You're going to get attention. It helped not just the parking issues, but the overall, criminal incidents. And so that's the real frustration.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I care about it too.
So I would recommend make the report on 301. The more reports we make, the more attention that's going to get for obvious reasons. And if it's not getting any attention, shoot an email to me. I can try to forward that to whoever's in charge over there and try to elicit a little bit of push there.
I've had reports of cars with long expired registration closed immediately with the generic, we've investigated and closed it, email.
Without nothing being done.
With absolutely nothing
Yeah,
being done,
that-
even when
that-
they're 8 months
That
out.
should, that shouldn't happen.
Now, I will tell you, I was talking about the incident where we got Captain Mary involved. I know what cars you're talking about. And this time it was around the issue with the dumpster that was out there for a month or two that was illegally dumped out there. And I told him also, there's cars here with expired registration. And he sent his team out, and the cars were towed and cited. So, but that was an extraordinary incident where it took a captain, to intercede. We can't do that. Hey, Captain Mary, this guy, he just parked here. He's going to get. Can you come by and give it? Of course not.
Yeah.
I can beat that one. It took a deputy city manager to get a van with a 3-foot hole in the windshield towed after being in our neighborhood and circulating for 8 months.
Did that finally get moved?
It got towed last Friday.
Excellent.
Because my brother talked to a deputy city manager at an event at Roberto Cruz where Captain Zuniga was as well. And she reminded Captain Zuniga about this van. And even though it was in Central, Captain Zuniga maybe contacted you or somebody else in Central, and 2 nice officers came out and found the law that says this thing shouldn't be on the street. Whereas there was a hole. I'm not talking shattered. I'm not talking cracked. I'm talking I could have fit through that hole. And DOT said, a division manager at DOT said that windshield shattered.
Is that the one with the tagging for saying?
No, there's a different one with tagging.
So do
Anyway,
we,
8 months and
Yeah.
lots of reports. It was actually in the olive zone that it left off. It went to 4 or 5 different places in the neighborhood within 100 yard or 200 yard distance.
What's the primary street that you're talking about for the parking compliance issue?
I see it in the entire neighborhood. East San Fernando Street, basically from 28th to probably 21st is where I see it the most. Because
Primarily at night?
Almost any night. but
Between what hours?
Anytime in the night on Wednesdays, guaranteed.
It's just about every night.
Do you know if they work
Because
those
they got
days or those
people
hours?
know that they're not going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
They have 3 shifts, they have a morning, a night, and a overnight shift. But I don't think that they have like a set schedule for each one, but
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, send your love letters to john.risto@sanjoseca.gov.
okay.
He's the director
And,
of DOT.
Yes, yes.
anything else here for the captain?
Well, I'm not sure what to do. I didn't necessarily see anything, but I heard it. A coworker of mine frequents nightclubs, and in conversation, out of curiosity, I asked them how come the nightclub on 13th Street is so popular. Well, in conversation, I believe they're potentially trafficking prostitutes from Colombia, because he was telling me the process they go through to have sex with women there. So not sure if something the police department is aware of or something that I should fill out a report. But anyways, it's I don't know if anyone's passed by there on a Thursday or a Friday evening, and there's a lot of people there. So anyways, just a comment and a concern I personally have because I don't live too far from there.
What's the name of the place?
It's Maria's.
And I'm assuming that's 13 and Clara?
That's a 13th Street between Heading and Taylor.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
Yeah, and he was telling me that there's a process. I don't want to get into the details, but he says after they agree on a payment, they go to a neighboring building and they engage in sexual activity. So what I found odd was that he said that they were Colombian women, which there's not in my opinion, in our community, there's not very many Colombians. So I immediately thought maybe they're trafficking women. But again, it's hearsay. I don't have evidence. I'm just basing my comment on a conversation I had with an individual who frequents nightclubs.
Okay, we will take a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
and please let me know if this is not the right venue for that. I apologize. I'm new to these sorts of things, but I want to get involved. I am curious what your department, what your station's position is in regards to ICE, and if their presence increases here. Do you have a plan? What is your position? I'm a concerned citizen for myself, but I would want to know if there are any recourses if I see something happening to someone else. I don't want to sit quietly by, but I also don't want to end up dead. So, yeah.
No, that's a great question. We get that question a lot. In the San Jose Police Department stance is we don't work with ICE. If they call us up for assistance to go serve a warrant or pick somebody up for an immigration issue, we do not do that. We do not work with them. Obviously, we're a public safety entity. If someone's getting hurt or harmed, call us. We're here to protect folks, but we're not going to be helping them going around arresting people or any of that sort of thing. And that's our stance on it.
Do they have access? Does any outside agency have access to the police department's cameras or DOT cameras?
That's a great question as well. They do not. They do not. The cameras that we have, we don't give access to anybody. And we use the cameras we use to solve crimes. It's really for criminal investigations only. And we have very strict parameters and where we put case numbers in there and things like that to justify the use of those cameras. The use of cameras are actually phenomenal. We are arresting folks faster than we've ever arrested them before. And it's all based on the use of all these cameras, right?
And
so they're
that ties
incredible.
into the RTIC, I think,
Real-time intelligence
Real-Time
center.
Intelligence
Yes,
Center,
yes.
where you can, it's amazing. I've seen some demos of it.
Oh, it's
Crimes in progress.
Yes.
Can be,
So we're getting to the point where our real-time intelligence center is staffed day and evenings all the way up until midnight. Right now, staffed 24 hours a day for the Super Bowl stuff. But they hear the 911 call as it's being made to our dispatch, which means they can get online, they can start looking at cameras, they can start searching things before the officer lands, right? So it makes it safer for the officer. It gives us real-time intelligence as far as, okay, what's going on, who's running where, who's driving what, and it also gives us the ability to search for these vehicles, right? And I give you an example, the unfortunate incident with the 15-year-old here downtown where she got kidnapped and assaulted, right? So to speak, right? We were able to identify the vehicle involved and arrest the perpetrator within a matter of hours, just a few hours. You take away cameras, we don't know who he is. And that's the power of cameras, right? 'Cause we can identify the vehicle, we can track it throughout the city, and we can land to where it's at, right? In a very short amount of time.
What
Pardon me?
happens with flock here now?
Well, we still have flock.
No, but what, there's gonna be a decision made whether we don't have flock pretty soon.
Yeah,
unless-
that's-
if they don't push it out again.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. We're hoping that does not happen because it is a huge essential tool in us solving crimes. Like I said, we're finding and arresting folks back quicker than we ever have. Big retail groups of people that are going in and breaking into, smashing windows and stealing jewelry and all these things, these big, retail groups of people that come from other cities. We're able to trace them into other cities and arrest them pretty quickly. And a lot of it is because of the flock. And the cameras, all the cameras that the community has that ties into fuses, right? So none of that is shared. I know the block cameras it's a political item right now, and a lot of cities are really starting to look into it to make sure that it's not being shared.
Is access audited on any kind of a regular basis?
Yeah, they don't have access to our systems. Beyond that, I can't speak of because I'm not the tech guy. So they are looking into that, but we have pretty strict guidelines on how and when we use it. And we're hoping that prevails and we're able to continue to keep it, but I can't really speak on
I
that.
personally love it. And there's one right, the house next door to me, right on South 24th. And it's great when things happen and my cameras pick it up. I'll pick the car passed this time and I get the exact time and date. So I can turn it into you or whoever, say, hey, look out for this guy. Because I know then you can go into your system and, pull it right up.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it's
No,
fantastic.
it's
I hope it expands.
it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
There's already, one city's pulled them down?
It was either Mountain View or Fremont, I think.
I think it was Mountain View.
I think it was Mountain View.
I think it was
That
Mountain.
found the feds were getting access when they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I think that was Mountain View.
I can add on the information for that.
For immigration, if you suspect ICE, call the Santa Clara County Rapid Response number. And San Jose PD has been very, very good at letting the responders know if it's them or if it's not them. So huge compliments for that. So definitely make sure you have that phone number saved if you're concerned about any agents you see. And then regarding flock cameras,
What is the San Jose Rapid Response number?
the San Jose Rapid Response number is 408-290-1144. Thank you. And then regarding flock cameras, if you have thoughts, feelings, opinions, questions, feel free to send them to our office's email, district3@sanjoseca.gov, because that is my boss's pay grade.
And you bring up a good point with ICE. It's important to recognize the uniform that we're wearing because San Jose is going to have San Jose patches on there. It's going to be very, very clearly police, San Jose police. And it's going to be this color uniform or dark blue BDUs, but it's going to be very, very clearly labeled, right? So it's important to understand what agency they're from. ICE will have police, ICE on it. And a lot of times they're in greens or a different type of uniform. Now, not to confuse with the green that the sheriff's office uses as well, right? So if it says sheriff, that is not ICE either, right? So it's just look at the label and look what the officer has in order to be able to recognize whether it's ICE or not.
Thank you so much for all the information and answers.
Anything else for the captain? Well then, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing you next month.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Well, we can do better.
You can't hear the online folks clap.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You have to have a pre-programmed audience.
Yeah.
People on this call.
Yeah. Jeff, sound effects next time.
All right, folks. Thank you. All right, see you later.
Thank you.
Bye, good to see you.
Okay, why don't we do District 3 updates?
So first of all, I have an update on your graffiti concern that you emailed us a couple days ago. I contacted Beautify San Jose, and they let me know that the graffiti that was reported on the 2nd has already been addressed. If it's there again, please fill out another 311 report. They also let me know that between 2/2 and when they sent me this email this morning, they received 13 work orders in the area. So please continue reporting graffiti on 311 when you see it. That's helpful so that we can get it addressed. On to more fun things. We do have a bunch of street closures. There's a QR code on the white flyer that tells you where all of the street closures are. They're also on the San Jose District 3 website, sjdistrict3.org, I think. So feel free to check those out if you are trying to go literally anywhere from literally right now until Monday morning. There's also free San Jose events, which are on both the whitelist and there is the San Pedro Superfest information on the green flyer. Feel free to grab those.
I'm leaving the country on Saturday.
Are you really? But there's San Pedro Superfest, Mayor's State of the City and Block Party, End Zone Experience at San Jose Civic, sold out, but there will be many traffic impacts and other impacts, as the captain was saying, with the Kalani Block Party and the Dom Dalla Street Party. There's also the Big Game Drone Show tomorrow. And more specifically for the office, we do have a save the date for our next coffee with the council member. That's going to be February 21st at 1 p.m. And that's a save the date. We're going to get the details out soon to y'all. And then coming up in the spring is the budget town hall. So we'll have that in the spring. And that's all for District 3.
Great. And people can, I assume, send an email in to get on the mailing list.
Yes, as always.
Okay. For those of you on the video call, non-3D access here, Jeff will be making copies of these flyers and sending them out. It looks like there's lots of juicy information on them. So there we go. Any questions for the District 3 office?
I want to tell people, don't go down Santa Clara Street.
Just forget about it.
Just forget Santa Clara Street
If you didn't hear that, just pretend Santa Clara Street doesn't exist anymore.
through downtown.
Through downtown, yeah. And community center updates? No updates.
The warming center full.
Yes.
Not that I
So,
want to join, but I mean, I'm wondering the population is
yeah, it's full. And if
full is
they,
what, 40,
30.
30?
30 is the max, yeah. So if we are full, then they redirect them to Evergreen Library.
Like they're going to go there.
Yeah, but I think they were getting kind of full too. We started with the higher numbers and then,
Evergreen Library? That's by my son's house. That's way in the heck over there.
yeah, it's pretty far out there. Yeah, so. Not too many updates for the community center. I think we're still getting back into the groove of things. We have scholarships still available for leisure camps for anybody that's available, anybody that's interested. You can come into the community center and grab a brochure. Our next special event is going to be the Spring Egg Hunt. That's going to be on March 21st. That's a Saturday, and it's going to be free to the community. We have up to 100 spots open for that. And after that, then we have El Día del Niño, which is going to be April 25th. And then once I have the flyers ready, we have the egg hunt, so I'll go ahead and send Jeff that so he can give it to everybody and send it via email, and then we'll share it. Other than that, no other updates.
Okay. Any final questions or comments? Okay, well, thank you for joining us, everyone. Our next meeting is on March the 5th. Don't yet know what our topic is. So if you have something you really, really want to know more about, let us know. We're happy to try to do some footwork to bring someone in. And otherwise, we will find something interesting for next month's Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association meeting. And there we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For now.
Yeah, okay, over and out.
Roger.
Thank you, guys.
Want to know more? You can join us on March 5th for the next Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association meeting, either in person or remotely. Scan the QR code to check out our website, which is loaded with information, including the remote link to our monthly meetings. See you next month.